Hi, Lynn Tucker, Carnivore here. Good to see you again. I promise this one won't be so long as my last one. And I have a question. Do you ever do this where you're sitting around, you're by yourself, and you think, gosh, Dave Mack from No Carb Life on YouTube has done so many interviews, and you've promised him a couple of times that you would be one of those interviews, even though I feel like my story is not that big of a deal. I also feel kind of bad that we haven't gotten back to him because, quite frankly, we don't have things set up to do, the kind of Zoom-ish things you need to do in order to be a good interview. Jim's way better, Ribeye Ranger, than I would be for a story. But I thought about this and I thought, well, how would I answer Dave if he said, how did you come to Carnivore? And I thought, well, pretty easy and kind of weird. It came through my dogs. I mean, I had tragedy strike at our house. I'll save you the details. And I just went on the internet and went crazy. I was not going to let this happen to my dogs again. And it turned out I learned an awful lot about why kibble is so terrible and so convenient and so about us and not about them and why they're dying so early. So, that's in the back of your head. Then my brother had stage 4 cancer, that prostate cancer that metastasized into his bones because he diagnosed himself about a year after, and not himself, but he got diagnosed about a year after he should have. And he had a PSA of 2100. Well, they get upset if it goes over 4. So, he was in some tough shape. And he changed his diet the best he knew how, based on everything he read. And that was well before anybody knew about Dr. Seyfried, or Professor Thomas Seyfried, also on YouTube, also should have gotten a Nobel Prize for all of his cancer research because it is vast and it is effective. And it is not genetic, it's metabolic. So you're learning this, but that came later. What really came first was Jim having a knee replacement. And he just healed perfectly. I mean, bending, stretching, doing all the things you're supposed to do to indicate that the surgery was a success. And yet he felt like he had really tight ankles and joints, and his muscles were so tight. And he didn't understand why. So he went on the internet and found Carrie Mann of Homestead How. And we both listened to that I Ate Meat for 30 Days video of his, which so many other people have done. And thank goodness to Dante Ferrigno for getting Carrie to that point. Because that whole lineage has really helped a lot of people. We watched it, and it's hard to watch that video and not think, this guy is incredibly genuine. I feel so badly for this poor person that had so much medication given to him and so many days of try this, didn't work for 30 days, or 3 months, excuse me, and then we'll up it. Now you got to try it for another 3 months. Well, then we'll give you another medication and try that for 3 months. And that whole repetitious awful experience for one ailment after another, and the poor thing was a mess. Sorry, Carrie, but you were. And you'll be the first to admit it. And the passion and the genuine caring for someone else because he found out something that was so miraculous to him. It was hard not to watch that and go, I might like a little of that for myself. And then the Dr. Ken Berry. Whether it was individual videos on things that we were interested in, just search on YouTube, Dr. Ken Berry, and whatever issue it is that you want to find out more about. So we did that, and then we started noticing that he was having Monday Night Lives at 7 p.m. Eastern, most Monday nights, with his RN wife, Nisha. And they would answer question after question after question. And we would read on the screen right along with him that this person had an A1C of 13 or 12 or 11, and now it's 5.3 or 5.4 or 5.1. And Dr. Berry looks them in the camera and says, well, work with your doctor because you're no longer diabetic. Wow. I teared up. I got to be honest with you. My genuine caring and concern for another human being, which is what every carnivore goes through after they've felt some healing effects themselves. You can't keep quiet. You want the world to heal. You want everyone to feel as good as you do. And so Jim started 7 days before me, and I knew that July 4th was coming up and I wasn't going to miss out on that last brownie. But anyway, we went through our refrigerator and our pantry and we looked at the labels and we did the math. 4 grams of carbohydrates equals an entire teaspoon of sugar. The horrors of what was on those boxes. 27 grams of carbohydrates, 45 grams of carbohydrates in a cereal. And then you think, well, the kids put sugar on top of the cereal, and then there's sugar in the milk in the form of lactose. Did you know there's 75 different names for sugar? And artificial ones in there too, of course. They hide it. They hide it well because they want us just this sick so that we don't complain, take their meds, and they make money. That's what the pyramid being upside down is all about too. That's what happened in 1913 when Rockefeller had all his money in oil. And then he said, well, the scientists are finding out that you could make synthetic vitamins. Well, if you can make synthetic vitamins, you can make synthetic patented drugs. That's what we'll do. Send out Flexner to go to the different medical schools and get that contact information, and we'll donate. And then we'll tell them they can no longer do anything natural for all this lovely money coming their way. That's how they talked and trained our wonderful doctors. Well, I don't know if I'd use that as an adjective, but anyway, they started prescribing based on symptoms instead of learning root causes, instead of healing like they wanted to do before. They were kind of bad at it in the early years. Just ask George Washington how bloodletting helped him out, because it didn't. But I mean, there was some barbaric, methods. I remember being under anesthesia of ether, that little cage over your mouth. Oh my gosh, that did not work. Long story. Anyway, when I met Dr. Berry and I looked him in the eye and said, thank you for being a doctor I can trust, it was because of all those videos that I had watched. And I never had a doctor I could trust. They all steered me wrong. Whether they gave me so much penicillin because I had tonsillitis that I became allergic to it, or if they told me to eat crackers because I fainted in the shower trying to get to warm water during a really painful period. Or you put too long of a screw in my elbow, even though I told them to use children's-sized screws because I wear children's-sized glasses. And look they're falling off. I have to put pads underneath here because I don't have a big enough nose. I mean, these are things that they should take into account when they're trying to do these very delicate surgeries on you. It's one thing after another. And then my dear, dear friend, who is a nephrologist, which means that he is a kidney specialist, says to me, well, I tell my people that they should eat healthy. And I repeat back, they don't know what healthy is. They have been told what healthy is completely wrong. For how many years now? Decades. And you learned wrong. How much nutrition class, how many nutrition classes did you take? How many weeks, how many months? Did you even take a week? And you're supposed to be their nutritious guide because you're a kidney guy? Well, don't give me a 5-pound bag or basket of brownies, cookies, and sugary candies on Christmas. You should know better. And that relationship soured after that point. It could have been because I brought up the American Diabetes Society that Dr. Berry and Dr. Westman and Dr. Hampton and a few others put together to go to the root cause and get people off medicine and get people healthy again through nutrition. It's not expensive when that's what you eat. And you don't have all the extras, and you don't throw a bunch of stuff out of the refrigerator because it went bad. And you don't go out to a lot of restaurants and charge that charge you way over what you would be able to do for yourself at home. And if your husband knows how to grill really well, or maybe you do, maybe you're the one that loves to grill. I'm telling you, you can't ever taste anything better than a wonderful, beautiful steak. So I thought to myself, how would I answer him? And I would say that I watched all these people heal. Dave, I watched all these people heal. And I cried along with them. I empathized with them. I couldn't imagine the addiction that they were going through and how they were strong. And they said, no, my health means more to me than a darn cookie, you know? And they used our tips and tricks to get you over that craving moment. And they felt the freedom inside them when the cravings finally stopped. And they went, I'm not handcuffed to sugar anymore. Because, as all of our doctors have mentioned, sugar hits the same dopamine section in our brains as methamphetamine, cocaine. I always talk about that study with the mice where they gave half of the group of mice cocaine and half of the group of mice sugar. And then they put the two groups together and they said, okay, here's both of them. Which one do you like better? And they all went to the sugar. Now you tell me if that isn't an addictive substance. So I have nothing but the highest regard and respect for those that change their lives and change their way of eating. And because of their beautiful example, Dave Mack and No Carb Life on YouTube, that's why I'm carnivore. I have never felt so alive. I feel 30 years younger at least. I have muscles that are making my way toward looking really good that I never should have because I'm 69. Almost, well, Christmas I'll be 70. And I sleep like a baby, and my mental clarity it's as if I'm in my 30s and I'm in my various businesses that I ran. And yet, instead of being completely exhausted at the end of a day, I'm like, what else are we going to do? Do you want to go somewhere, do something? That's unheard of. And moving. Ribeye Ranger and I loaded 2 full-sized pods and loaded and unloaded them. Garage equipment, racks, furniture, washer and dryers, beautiful bar that we had, which we no longer really use actually at all, but it looks really good in our den. All that by ourselves. It's amazing how you can feel. So that's my reason. And I thank those that came before me that told their story, whether it's on YouTube or any of the other communities, Healing Humanity, .life, the one that Steak and Butter Gal has, the one that Dr. Barry has, his community. They're all the wonderful aspect of Revero that Dr. Sean Baker is creating so that people can metabolically heal. Dr. Hampton, Tony Hampton in Chicago with his extraordinary work with people. The low carb doctor, Dr. Sives. I mean, there's so many. And Dr. Kiltz helping people have healthy babies because they're healthy. And the list just goes on and on and on. And whether it's Dr. Nelson and his community that he's helping people, and that's a tough one too, because when you've got a Hispanic background and you're so used to eating what you're so used to eating, yeah, that's a tough one. Although he's made incredible strides. So it's Dr. Nelson Vasquez. So you can look him up too. Just what everyone's doing for each other is so powerful. And I'm just proud to be part of it. So thank you so much for watching. Again, long, sorry, but a lot to say. And someday we'll get back on YouTube together, me and Ribeye Ranger Jim. Until then, have a great one. Stay with your carnivore. It's for life, literally. See ya.